Now, today the topic is done. Yesterday, where we left over, so from there we will start. So we left at microsporogenesis. This much we have seen. Today we have to start from here. Now, what is microsporogenesis? Microsporogenesis means the formation of microspore from the microspore mother cells. And this formation of microspore from the microspores from the microspore mother cell, you can see that that is because of reduction division, because the pollen mother cell is the microspore mother cell is diploid and the microspore is haploid. Now we have come up to the pollen grain. Now you see in the slide, you can see that the pollen grain is there. This is the pollen grain. And this is China rose flower. The Androecium of this China rose flower produces the pollen grains like this. If you touch the flower of China rose, you can see that so many minute microscopic yellow powder you can see there on your finger if you touch the Androecium part of the China rose flower. And if those powder you transfer to a slide and prepare a slide and then focus under the microscope, you can see that this kind of structures you can see. This is nothing else. This is what is called the pollen or the pollen grain, what we have seen there in the previous slide. Now, this is a pollen grain. Now, you can see that the pollen grain is a haploid structure. Now, you see what are the characteristics of pollen grain? Yeah, pollen. Now, you see the characteristics there. One, it is spherical in nature. This pollen grain, if you look at over here itself, you can see that it's somewhat round. It is spherical in nature. Second one is that this particular pollen grain, if you look at, now you see here, you can see the pollen grains over here also. The pollen grain size you see, the shape you see, the outer nature you see, everything we can say that will not be same for all the species. It will be different from species to species. Now this is the China rose pollen grain. Now you see this is different from this one. And this pollen grain is different from this one. So species to species, even this also you observe, you can see that variations are there. But anyway, the pollen grains, we can say they are spherical in nature and they are non-motile. Non-motile in the sense they cannot move from one place to another by its own. It's not moving at all. Non-motile is not moving at all. It cannot move from one place to another. Okay. Then second thing is that it is unicellular. That means this is the pollen grain structure. Now you say this is the young pollen grain. You see this is a single cell. It is a single cell in which you can see a single nucleus, and that single nucleus you can see it is haploid. Because already you know that the pollen grain is produced from the microspore mother cell by means of reduction division. So this pollen grain is haploid in nature. So this is a single cell, and in that there is one nucleus, and then you can see that this is haploid in nature. This is the condition of a young pollen grain. Now, if you look at this pollen grain, you can see that the pollen grain is having an outer cover like this. Now, you see this pollen grain is having an outer cover, and this outer cover, you can say that sporodame. It is called a sporodame. That means derm means cover, skin. So this is the cover of the skin. This is the cover of the spore. So this is known as sporodame. And this sporodame, if you observe, you can see that it is made up of two layers. अभी आप इधर देखिए, outer एक layer आपको देखने को मिलेंगे. You will see one outer layer. In this picture, it is spiny in nature. Look at it here. It is spiny in nature. This is called as the exine. But inner to this exine, you see there is outer and inner layer. That inner layer is very thin in nature. That inner layer doesn't show any kind of a spiny structure because that is very smooth. So the covering of pollen grain, which we call a sporodame, is having two layers, an outer layer that may be smooth, that may be rough, but in this picture you see that is rough in nature because some spiny structure you can see over here. And this spiny outer cover, we say exine. But inside of this exine, you can see that there is one more layer. That one more layer, if you observe, you can see that is different from the outer layer because the outer layer is spiny, whereas the inner layer, you see, that is smooth. The smooth inner line, we say indine. Now we are going to see this exine and indine in detail. Now you see this is the pollen grain. As I told you before, this is the exine, okay, and this is the indine. Okay, now let us see what is the characteristics of exine and indine. Now if you look at exine, this is exine. What are the characteristics which is already there on the screen now? The first point is that the outer layer, we can say, that is mostly thick in nature. Why this exine is thick in nature? Because this is made up of certain specific substances which are very tough in nature. No enzymes can act on it, no chemical substances can act on it, and even biologically also we can see that it is totally non-biodegradable because it is highly resistant substance. Because this exine is made up of highly resistant substances, resistant organic material, so it is non-biodegradable. It cannot be disorganized or it cannot be destroyed very easily because of its tough nature or because of its hardness or because of its hard nature. Why it is so hard or why it is so tough in nature? That is because the presence of a certain particular type of material in it. That means the exine is made up of a particular type of substance which is called a sporopolonium. This outer layer exine is made up of sporopolonium that is very hard in nature and it is resisting the chemicals, enzymes, etc. And so it is non-biodegradable. Okay, then now you observe this picture. If you observe this picture, you can see that here the spiny structure there, the thick exine you can see over here. But this covering, if you observe, here it is not so visible, that much distinguishing not there. That is why I'm going to this picture. If you go to this picture, you can see this exine, you see, this is not continuous. See here, it is not continuous. Why it is not continuous? Because at here and there, you see that there is an area where there is no this sporopollenin. That means we can say that the exine is having certain type of pit. You see, the pit you can see here and there. Okay, in some monocot, if you refer, sometimes only one pit will be there. In dicot, sometimes three pit can be seen. But in some diagrams, if you refer, you can see more than three pit you can see. This pit is the place where this exine, that sporopollenin, is absent. The thickness is not there. It is not so hard. That means this is a door, like we can say. It is a door like, because here exine material is not there. So a pit you see over here, and this pit we call as germ pore. This is known as germ pore. Now you see this structure. Okay. Now you see this is the germ pore. See here. Now this germ pore is there. So now already I have shown you the germ pore over here. Here the germ pore, here the germ pore. Okay. And this germ pore, where you see there, you can see that the exine is not there continuously. Okay. Now you see why this germ pore is there. The purpose of germ pore is that when the pollen grain is germinating, That means when it is going to the further changes, the inner part, the indine, I told you that inside the exine, there is another layer. This is called as the indine, right? This indine will come out of the pollen grain as a tube through this small opening through this small pit. This inner layer will come out. Okay, the inner layer will come out, and this is known as the germ pore. So that for that purpose, this germ pore is there. Okay, that will come out as a pollen tube. So this is about the exine. I told you this is the hard layer. Exine is a hard layer that is made up of sporopollenin. And this sporopollenin, we can say, that is highly resistant to chemicals, organic chemicals, and this is non-biodegradable, and even enzymes can also act upon it. Okay, and we can see then where this sporopollenin is absent, there small pit is formed, and this small pit we call as the germ pore, through which the inner indine will come out as a pollen tube at the time of germination of pollen grain. Now you see what is the inner layer. Inner layer, you can notice that compared to the outer layer, it is thin in nature. It is thin, and that is made up of two substances, which is called one is cellulose and other one is the pectin. It's a polysaccharide. Okay, so the indine is thin in nature. The diagram itself showing that this is thin in nature compared to the exine. Why it is the exine is thick? That is because of the hard sporopollenin. But that sporopollenin is not there in indine, but in that place, what is there? You can see that the cellulose and the pectin over them, and therefore it is very thin in nature. And not only that, this is the wall, or this is the layer that is growing out as a tube to carry the male gametes to the ovule at the germination of pollen grain growth. Okay, so you can see that the pollen grain is having an outer layer which is called as exine, and inner layer that is called as the indine, and these two layers are called as the what we called before sporoderm. Then inside of this indine, you can see that there is a area in which cytoplasm is present. In this cytoplasm, generally, you can see that there is only one nucleus. But slowly, this nucleus is going to divide. That means when the pollen grain is getting matured, this nucleus will divide, the uninucleus of the pollen grain will divide, and it will develop into two nuclei. That means slowly it will become two cells. The pollen grain will be having two cells when the pollen grain is there in the mature stage. And one cell, we can say, is a large cell with a nucleus called vegetative nucleus. There is another cell that is a small cell that is having a spindle-shaped nucleus. This large cell present in the pollen grain, we can say that is the tube cell. Sorry, that is the vegetative cell. And the other one we can say the generative cell. Okay, so there are two cells over there, and when the pollen grain is there in the two-celled stage, it is mostly going to be released from the plant. Now we come to the next slide. Now we want to see in this slide what is the character of a mature pollen grain. I'm here showing you the photograph of the pollen grain of lilium plants. You know, water lily and so on. So lily plants, even up in a garden, maybe hai, like a lily plant, white flower plant is there, lily plant. So in lily plant or in lilium, pollen grains are produced. That pollen grain is shown over here. This is the photograph. Okay. Now, if you look at this pollen grain is a matured pollen grain. Now, if you observe this pollen grain, this matured pollen grain, you can see that in this pollen grain, you can see there are two cells. Now, you see this is a large cell. This is a large cell, This large cell we can call as the tube cell, yeah, vegetative cell. Actually, we call it as tube nucleus. Okay, anyway. So, vegetative cell. Now, what are the characteristics of this vegetative cell? At the same time, you see a small cell over there. I will talk after this. So, this is called as the large vegetative cell, in which you can see that there is a nucleus. Now, let us see one after the other. Then, what are the characteristics of this cell? So, when you talk about the characteristics of this cell, two cells are there here. One is smaller and this is larger. The first point of this cell is that this is bigger. Now, another thing is that in this full of cytoplasm is there. In this cytoplasm, you can see that food materials are there. So, large amount of reserve food materials are there in this. So, the cytoplasm is they are full, in which you can say food reserve materials are there. Food materials are there. Abundant reserve food materials are there. Who is doing like this? Okay. Now, another thing is that you can see that in the center, there is a nucleus like this. That nucleus, you can say, is larger, but at the same time, this nucleus is having an irregular shape. Okay. So, it is bigger. The vegetative cell is bigger in nature. Abundant food materials are there in this. And the nucleus is, you can say the nucleus is irregular. It is not having a round shape like that of the normal cell we are talking about always. And this is the content which is coming out as a tube through the germ pore. When the pollen grain is germinating, this whole content will come out through when the indene is coming out through the germ pore. And that will enter into the pollen tube. Whole content will enter into the pollen tube. But there is a second part in that is called as the generative cell. A second small cell you can see here. Now you see here. This is called as the generative cell. This generative cell is normally floating there in the cytoplasm of this. That means this cell is within another cell. Is floating there in the generative cell, but it is compared to the vegetative cell. This generative cell is smaller in nature. Then in this vegetative cell, you can see that there is a nucleus, and this nucleus is having a particular shape, and that is called spindle shape. Now you see a spindle shape structure it is, and there cytoplasm is there, and then the nucleus is there. Okay, and this spindle shaped small floating generative cell, you can say that carrying the male gametes in future. Future in the sense it will become the two male gametes in future. Okay, so this is the generative cell. From the name itself, we can say this is going to generate two male gametes, two sperms in this. So that is why it is called as the generative cell. Okay. Now you can see that once this cell, once this pollen grain is completely matured, now it is two-celled. At this two-celled stage, it can be released from the androecium. This can be released from the stamen or from the anther, and it is released for pollination purpose. That means it will move towards the female gamete. But you can see that sometimes when the pollen grain is there in the two-celled stage, it will be released. Sometimes even before releasing the pollen grain from the anther, this generative cell will divide and it becomes two sperms or two male gametes. Then we can say it will be there in a three-celled stage. Now it is two-celled stage, but once it is divided, it will be three-celled. But normally this cell divides when it is there in the pollen tube. That is generally. But sometimes even before the germination or development of the pollen tube, this generative cell will divide and it becomes, or the nucleus of the generative cell can be divided and it becomes two male gametes, and finally three nuclei will be there, three cells will be there, and this is released there in the there in pollination then. Okay, and so this two-celled or three-celled stage of the pollen grain we call as male gametophyte. Now you see how the male gametophyte is developing. Now you see this is the photograph of the pollen grain, and that is there in various stages. Now you see, so we were talking about the mature pollen grain. Now you see this is the mature pollen grain. They are in various stages. Now this is the original photograph. Okay, so when you observe this mature pollen grain, now you see the pollen grains are passing through various stages from this stage to this stage. Now you see two nuclei, you can see here clearly, and finally now you see through the germ pore the pollen tube is coming out. Okay, the pollen tube is coming out. This is the pollen tube, and when the pollen tube is growing out, so what, the vegetative cell and the generative nucleus, whatever is there in the pollen grain, all those content will be transferred from here to pollen tube. So it will be transferred to the pollen tube. This pollen tube, along with the cytoplasm of vegetative cell or even the vegetative nucleus and the generative nucleus, either they're in two-celled stage or three-celled stage, that is collectively known as male gametophyte. Now you see a male gametophyte picture over here. Now you see this is a male gametophyte. Okay, are you following it? What is this? This is called as male gametophyte. In male gametophyte, what you can see that there is a pollen tube. In the pollen tube, you can see that there is a vegetative nucleus. This is the vegetative nucleus. This nucleus, no, this nucleus before what I said, that nucleus is there here now, and this nucleus have no role and it will be disorganized later. But this generative nucleus also will be transferred into this pollen tube, and on the way or before that, either becoming the either producing the pollen tube or producing the pollen before producing the pollen tube or after producing the pollen tube, this generative nucleus will divide and it becomes two, and this is what is called the male gametes. And slowly these male gametes also will be transferred into the pollen tube. But in the pollen tube, the nucleus which is going ahead, that will be tube nucleus, but that will be disorganized later, and these two male gametes will remain for the entry into the ovule for fertilizing with the egg. Okay, and this structure or this picture is known as the male gametophyte. I hope that you understood the male gametophyte clearly. So what is a male gametophyte? A male gametophyte means a pollen tube along with the tube nucleus and cytoplasm and these two male gamete structure. Okay, you got it clearly? You please write there in the chat box what you understood from it. What is a male gametophyte? What all contents are there in the male gametophyte? Write there in the chat box fast. The contents of male gametophyte. In short form, you write. Okay. Okay, cytoplasm in the pollen tube and the pollen grain. Okay, I will tell you. Okay, you're right. Okay, okay, fine. Okay, that means in the male gametophyte or in the pollen tube, the tube nucleus will be there, cytoplasm will be there, and two male gametes will be there. Two male gametes will be there. Even this is disorganized. This will not disorganize because these are the male gametes which are entering into the ovule. These are the two male gametes which is going towards the female gamete. Now my one simple question here. You see, this is the male gamete, generative nucleus. How it is divided? What is the genetic constitution of this generative nucleus? जनरेटिव न्यूक्लियस का कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन क्या है? डिप्लॉइड या हैप्लॉइड? जल्दी लिखो अपना चैट बॉक्स में, ये डिप्लॉइड है या हैप्लॉइड है दिस जनरेटिव न्यूक्लियस? This generative nucleus is diploid or haploid? Everybody writing diploid. Okay, tell me that pollen grain is haploid or diploid? Pollen grain is haploid or diploid? Yes. Sakshi, you have written H. You are talking about pollen grain? Yes. Pollen grains are haploid. So pollen grain is a uninucleated structure. Am I right? So pollen grain is haploid. If pollen grain is haploid, what about the generative nucleus of that pollen grain? Diploid or haploid? Now you tell me pollen grain is haploid. So the generative nucleus is one of the content of pollen grain. The generative nucleus will be diploid or haploid? Yes, the generative nucleus is haploid. All of you please listen properly. The pollen grain is haploid, and so the vegetative cell is haploid. The vegetative nucleus is haploid. The generative nucleus is haploid. Yeah, anything what is there in the pollen grain is haploid because pollen grain is haploid. Okay, but this generative nucleus divided here. Look at here. The generative nucleus is divided. So when this generative nucleus is divided, you got two nuclei. This two nuclei. So now you see each nucleus. Is it haploid or diploid? This nucleus is haploid or diploid? Haploid. But can you tell me that which kind of cell division has taken place here? Here, which kind of cell division has taken place? Mitosis or meiosis? The cell division which occurred over here is mitosis or meiosis? Tell me. Mitosis. Okay. Very easy to say. You got only two cells from one cell. That one cell, yeah, two nuclei from one nucleus. That means it is mitotic division. So the generative nucleus divided mitotically, and you got two male gametes. The generative nucleus is haploid in nature. The male gametes also haploid in nature. Okay. I hope everything is clear to you. Now again, we revise the things of this slide. A mature pollen grain. A mature pollen grain is having how many cells? Please write there in the chat box. How many cells in a mature pollen grain? How many cells? How many cells there in a mature pollen grain? Two. Okay. One is vegetative cell. The other one is the generative cell. Okay. Then in a male gametophyte, how many nuclei will be there? In a male gametophyte, how many nuclei will be there? Not cell I'm talking about nuclei. How many nuclei will be there? ध्यान से देखो पिक्चर ध्यान से देखो आप. थोड़ा ध्यान से पिक्चर देखो तभी आपको आइडिया मिलेगा. How many nuclei? Okay, now I will come to the answer. Your answer, I didn't get any correct answer. The correct answer, one is then one tube nucleus, male gametophyte. This is also a nucleus. This is also a nucleus. This is one nucleus. This is second nucleus. This is the third nucleus. लेकिन slowly ये nucleus disorganized हो जाएगा. Then only these two will remain. And these two nuclear bearing structure we say two cells, yeah, two male gametes. So a male gametophyte में initial stage में normally how many nuclei there? 3 nuclei are there. All of you written either 1 or 2, but the correct answer we can say now 2 nuclei. But in the final stage, in the last stage of male gametophyte, this nuclei will disorganize and only these two will remain. Then we can say 2. Otherwise, in the initial stage of male gametophyte, how many nuclei will be there? Repeat the answer there in the chat box. How many nuclei will be there in the male gametophyte in the initial stage? 3. Okay, I hope you understood everything. Okay. Okay. Now we are come to the end of this second session, second part.